Are you a fan of body horror? Then stick around for a review of a great body horror movie and one of the best horror movies of 2024. What is going on, Spooky Gang? What it do? I hope y'all are having a blessed day. For all of my new watchers, y'all go ahead, subscribe, and like the video. We're on the road to 1K subs, and we're just trying to make sure we hit that before the end of the year. And all my beloved members of the Spooky Gang, y'all stay around to the end of the video so you can answer question number 1 of the Blu-ray giveaway that I'll be doing in December. So make sure y'all stick to the end of the video for that. But y'all, 2024 has been really good to us as far as horror, and this movie, The Substance, is just another reason why this year has been so great to us. Just to give a brief synopsis or description of what this film is about, a fading celebrity takes a black market drug, a cell-replicating substance, that temporarily creates a younger, better version of herself. This movie is in a subgenre of horror known as body horror, and for the people who aren't familiar with body horror movies, essentially they're movies where any type of destruction or deterioration or anything like that of the body. You could think of movies such as Contracted, The Green Inferno, The Fly, Malignant, Reanimator, and many more movies, honestly. Now, before we jump into spoilers, I want to go ahead and give like a quick little general overall review. This movie has great practical effects, and that's certainly something that I'll get into later as we discuss the movie further. Yeah, so great practical effects, which is more of a reason why you don't need to use CGI. You have great acting performances from both Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley. I hope that's how you say her last name. I don't know, but and overall, it's just a really creative body horror movie and one that is truly and genuinely enjoyable. I think the first 2 acts are extremely strong and is what genuinely makes it one of the best horror movies for this year. But the 3rd act is not as strong, but is definitely still good, and we're for sure gonna dive into why. But overall, The Substance is a very good movie and one that I for sure would definitely recommend. Now, jumping into a little bit of spoilers and essentially how the plot unfolds in this movie. Starting out, we see Demi Moore, and Demi Moore's character in this movie is named Elizabeth, and they call her Liz for short in a lot of the movie. But Liz is a TV star. She's been a TV star for many years now, I think like 20 plus years. And so now obviously she's a little bit older, and you know, she would do those 80s jazzercise workouts, you know, where people are all in their little leotards and one pieces and whatnot, doing like little aerobic exercises and dance moves and trying to burn calories, you know, that whole thing. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about with all them vibrant colors on and stuff like that. But anyway, that's what she does. But at this point, she's like 40 plus. So the industry is starting to look at moving on from her, considering she's, you know, an older face, and, you know, they're wanting something that's going to be a little bit more fresh. So Liz starts to get anxious about what she's going to do to, you know, bring that freshness back, considering the industry's trying to move on from her. Is like, how can she still maintain her status and her role and her popularity? And then she comes across The Substance, and essentially what The Substance does is, once you inject it, then it has the ability to bring you back to your prime, but there's a little caveat with it. You can only be in your prime for 7 days at a time. So, you know, you'll be in your prime for 7 days, and then the next 7 days, then you go back to your current state. So, you know, let's just say she's 45. I'm not exactly sure how old she is in the movie, but let's just say she's 45. So her prime, let's just say, is 20. For 7 days, she'll be like 20. And then the next 7 days, she'll go back to 45 in her current state, and then the next 7 days she'll go back and forth, and this is something that's continuous throughout the movie, right? And so where this becomes a body horror movie is, once she takes the substance, her prime self literally splits from the back of her. Like, literally, you see her breaking open from her spine, and that entity, which is, you know, her prime, is coming out of her. And then that's where you get Sue, who is played by Margaret Qualley, and she plays as the younger version of Liz. And that's why I was talking about how you don't really need CGI like that. Like, when you take the time to really craft and design your practical effects, the practical effects can look just as good, if not better, than what CGI could do if you had a large CGI budget, obviously, you know, because, you know, using CGI on a low budget isn't going to do you any good, because then, you know, different effects and things of that nature are going to look extremely cheap and look like how it did in the early 2000s with a lot of horror movies where it was just really bad, honestly. And so after her prime self, Sue, splits from her, once one is active, the other is inactive. So you just see Liz just laying there on the floor, practically looking dead. Another catch is what one person does while they're active can also affect the other while they're inactive. So in the movie, as Sue gets her first 7 days, she really starts to shine and gain all this popularity and notoriety and all of this good stuff for being like this new hot chick on the block that's just really going to take over the industry and everything. A lot of that fame really starts to go to her head. So where the plot really starts getting thick is, with her being so consumed by all of this fame and like I said, notoriety and stuff like that, then she starts to get a little selfish. So like every 7 days, no matter what, you're supposed to switch. So as the movie progresses, Sue is like, shoot, I'm trying to stay active for as long as possible. So she starts draining from Liz. And then you see as she continually does that and does that and does that so she can stay active while Liz is inactive, then you see that Liz starts to deteriorate over time. And then Liz just ultimately starts to become really deformed. The rest of the movie is just a big back and forth between Liz and Sue, and one trying to get the upper hand or the advantage on the other, even though Sue for the most part is just the one abusing it. Liz is just trying to help get that balance back to where it's 50-50. But like I said, as the movie progressed, she gets more and more and more deformed because Sue keeps draining her every time that she's active. So she'll stick a needle in her back and drain fluid out of her and inject it in herself so she can last another day. Now, pushing towards the third act of the movie where some of my problems come in is once Liz is able to become active again from her being drained so much and all of this good stuff, she finds out that she's able to terminate the experience. But the issue with it is, even if you terminate the experience, you still maintain your current state. So everything that happened to her leading up to this movie, so all the draining and the deformities and the deterioration of her body, still is going to be the case. It's just there won't be a Sue anymore. For Liz at that point, she was so fed up that she was just like, F it, I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. So she injects Sue with the termination fluid from the substance, and Sue basically dies. But then immediately Liz regrets it and was just like, I need to have at least some form of a younger self, because now she's so bad and deteriorated that there's no way she could go back into the public eye. So she's just like, damn it, like I need to go ahead and I need to revive her some type of way. And she eventually does do that. And Sue immediately is pissed off that she tried to kill her. So Sue basically just starts kicking Liz to death. Just like, I don't know what type of leg strength and what type of squats or whatnot she was doing, but she was kicking the shit out of her. Once Sue immobilizes Liz, she starts to experience even more dramatic adverse effects. Then she starts to become deformed and different little things are happening to her. And so in her mind, she's like, oh damn, like if all this stuff is happening to me, she gets this bright idea that she thinks that, okay, if I inject the substance into me and I make a prime version of me, and she's already the prime version of Liz, so she does that and it turns her into a monstrosity. Like she's an absolute mess and even way more deformed than Liz ever was. And she's just like this big mongoloid monster at this point. And the reason why she even felt the urge to go ahead and do that so quickly is because she was supposed to attend some social event. I think it was for her to be on the cover of Vogue or something to that effect. So she was like, oh my God, I need to make sure I look as good as possible, like right now. And so she thought that injecting the substance would help her, and it did not. It made her an absolute mess. And then, that eventually leads to her demise in the rest of the movie. Like I said, overall, like I think the biggest problem that I had with the third act is not necessarily that it was bad or anything like that. I just felt like it needed to be sped up, because by this point we had already seen so many different levels of the deterioration and the deformities that they had, that it's just like, okay, like it seemed like you could tell that the writers and the director were kind of like, oh, well, like what do we do now? Like how do we wrap this up? So if the ending would have been, because you have to think this movie is long as hell. Like this movie is like 2.5 hours. So if they would have cut out maybe, I say 20-ish minutes of the final act, I feel like that really would have set this movie off and really made it many points higher. But for me overall, even still with that, I think that this is a very strong movie and easily one of the best of this year. From a technical aspect, this movie is coming in at a 7 out of 10. And from a how much I like it or love it standpoint, this is a 4 out of 5. It is a very likable movie and one of the best watches I've had this year. Is this a movie that I would buy? Not necessarily, but A movie that I'd love to rewatch, yeah, for sure, absolutely. And I definitely recommend this movie to anybody who hasn't watched it. So if you ever get a chance to, or find it on any type of movie app or media platform or anything like that, then I 100% recommend going for it. It's just overall a very strong movie. But that's all I got for y'all, Spooky Gang. Y'all let me know what y'all think of The Substance and where does it rank to you so far of the movies that have come out in 2024, because it's certainly one of the better ones. And before we end this video, I'm going to give you question number 1 for the Blu-ray giveaway that I'm going to have in December. So question number 1, what is the name of the old lady character that haunts Josh in Insidious 1 and Insidious 2? Y'all drop that answer down as soon as you possibly can, because like I said, I'm basing the winner off of one who has the most correct, and in the event of it being a tie, how fast did that person answer it? So like, who are some of the first comments on average? And that's what's essentially going to determine the winner. So y'all answer that and put that answer in the comments down below. So y'all comment down below what you think of The Substance. Y'all like and subscribe to the channel. Y'all already know how we rocking. More horror content coming y'all way. I appreciate all the love and support that y'all continually give me. It means the world to me, and I'm gonna continue dropping these bangers for y'all. But until next time, Spooky Gang, y'all already know that y'all need to stay blessed, and y'all stay spooky for your boy.